Hello everybody, here for another book review. This one is The Passion According to G.H. by Clarice Lispector. I think this would be my third book by her, and it is quite a wild ride of a book. It is very, specific. I think I did give a bit of a background on Clarice Lispector on other things, other video I did on her. I think I did Near to the Wild Heart. No, wait, it was the Hour of the Star, I think. And so I did mention that she was originally from Ukraine, born to like a Jewish family, and moved to Brazil. I'm not exactly sure if it was Rio de Janeiro, but that city shows up in the book too. So she must have been acquainted with it to some extent, but I'm not sure how. And yeah, it's I always find like quite interesting authors have kind of a blended background where they ethnicities kind of, or artists in general, or not to say this necessarily fuels her writing in any way. It doesn't really matter that much, I don't think, but I just find it personally interesting that you find somebody with like a very particular type of Slavic type of name kind of like living in Brazil. There's like a cross cultural type of thing going on too, and I think that ties into like her novels as well. And she definitely has like an inimitable style. It's so like effortless. I think it's not trying to be anything. It's not it's not drawn from so many different things. And even though you can sense maybe other authors in this as well, like you can sense like a bit of maybe Kafka or Dostoevsky or some of the I guess greats of literary. You can sense that she has a respect for that, but at the same time she kind of furrows her own ground, which I think I also mentioned in the other video. So yeah, The Passion According to GH is told from a first person point of view, and it is about a kind of a well-to-do affluent member of society, upper class definitely, and her house in Rio de Janeiro. And she is I think she's about middle age maybe, and she doesn't refer to herself as anything but GH. The initial is GH, which she brings up time and time again when she says, when she refers to herself, it's kind of obliquely, and it's with the she summons up this briefcase to she writes on like the only thing you need to know about me, pretty much. Is that my initials are GH and it says it on this briefcase right here. And so I find that interesting that she's not willing to. It's almost as if her identity doesn't really matter, because that's kind of the point of the novel, is that she's venturing into that kind of those doubts, I guess, of the this big crisis she has, and it's spurred on none other than when she walks into her maid's room, and you expect it to be quite a, because it starts out as an interesting, kind of media res, almost like it's kind of right in the middle of when she's having this, and then you expect it to be like, what is it that's causing her to be so, to freak out this much? And she's like, you wouldn't believe it. Like, you're thinking like, was it a murder? Did like her maid confess something to her that was like drastic? But like, no. Turns out that the object of what's unsettling her so greatly is that of a cockroach that her maid has accidentally stepped on, and it just throws her into this total fit. Not like anger, but like just like a existential fit. Like she sees like the life force of the, she explains it greatly, which is why I brought up Kafka, because I almost sense like there's a bit of a similarity between this and the Metamorphosis, like the great the way that she almost clinically, like an entomologist or or some type of person who's well versed in insects and the science behind it, and like she goes down to the nitty gritty of how like the antennae and the like the cephaloid, I think, like I don't know if it's the cockroaches belong to the cephaloid family, but I'm little I'm not too well versed in my insects, but she goes into like the details of like how like the little every aspect of it, like the armored back, kind of breaks, and how, describes it like the scene of a crime, like somebody at the scene of a crime would, which I find disturbing, but at the same time it kind of funny too, because like the way it's described again in like a dispassionate type of way, even though it's called passion, the way she kind of imbues, like she's an inspector almost on the scene of a crime. And so this sends her into this existential angst where she starts wondering out being, and like, what does it mean to die? Like, she was unethical in treating it like this, and then she's like, yeah, it's just like, goes like in a very, I don't know if I call it impressionistic, definitely uniquely avant-garde type of way of describing things. Like she just goes like on and on about like the guilt that she feels, like she's spending like sleepless, like at the thought of what she did to this, of what her maid did to this cockroach, I think. Or no, wait, she did it. She opened the door. I'm sorry. This is me leaving out a pivotal detail, I think. But she opens the door and accidentally, I think, crushes the cockroach, and that's what says the prompts her to go into this long monologue. And yeah, it's just very, very unique, I think. Definitely, when reading it, well, we'll go towards the end of the novel, just spoiler alert, but towards the end of the novel, she basically, she almost has like this, she mentions some like Catholic, I think, words like, transubstantiation and stuff like that, which are, goes to consubstantiation as well, like these Eucharist terms, like, the body of Christ, and how every time you imbibe, the wine of the Eucharist bread, the holy bread, it's people slightly different the way they think about it. Some people, I think, the consubstantiation variety truly believe that Christ, you are eating the body of Christ, the physical body, and other people don't. Like, they don't think, like, they think it's just metaphorical. So I think she's like talking about her eating because towards the end of the novel, that's what she does. She actually takes the cockroach, and starts eating it, and the part of it that's oozing out of it. And yeah, it's like, it's pretty it's pretty a little bit hard to read it sometimes, but it's definitely true to its own style here. And another thing that I've noticed interesting about this is that she starts out like ends each chapter or section with or she begins each chapter rather with a sentence that ends the previous chapter ended on. Like, she says, and this is the last sentence, "I was eating myself, I who am also a living matter of the Sabbath." And then she starts, on the other chapter, like, "I am eating myself, I am a living matter, also living matter of the Sabbath." So yeah, I just thought that was interesting stylistically. And yeah, it's just it's not too much long of a read, maybe roughly 200 pages. And even though I am trying to do a wild, unrealistic thing of trying to read 120 books this year, I did try to make the time to actually digest this, and I think it was worth it, because it's not something I think you'd want to fly through. It's something that you want to take in short bursts, or at least that's what I found best for me, because there's sometimes where it got kind of so, like, you're taking it's a little bit too potent, a little bit too real, like the way this GH kind of delves into the human psyche, like the most frenetic, kind of almost unpleasant, but very true. Like, you feel her at the same time. You feel that type of pain as well. If you're prone to overthinking, or even if you're not, like, even if you don't, like, maybe you get the sense that this is a bit analogous to the Buddha, like the classic story of Siddhartha Gautama, and how he came to know that, of death, and to see death as well. That kind of threw him off guard completely, because he was grown into this very wealthy, affluent family, not unlike GH, and was probably shielded from a lot of that, and that caused him to, his whole entire like reality, his whole entire world as he knew it, to completely fall, because he was raised in a bubble, to be shielded away from the notion of death, to be shielded away from the notion of suffering. So when he first saw all those things, it just totally changed his perspective, and made him wanna. And that's kind of the classic type of I don't want to say hero's journey, but it's kind of a like-minded, a very common tale, I think, of like you hear that in like big figures of religious movements, or like you hear that with like maybe Mani or Zoroaster, especially Jesus, so yeah, I definitely recommend it, but just I don't want to dissuade you by saying it's too grotesque, because I think obviously I'm just a fan of darker type of literature, and I think that if you haven't heard of Clarice Lispector, like I've only heard of her semi recently. I think maybe a few years ago I heard I kind of generally heard her name pop up here and there, but I never knew what exactly. I think I heard she was like a great type of novelist to get into if anybody is into more serious kind of grave literature like me. So I was thinking like, whoa, that's right up my alley. So yeah, A Passion According to G.H. by Clarice Lispector. Thank you for watching.